So I'm standing in my hallway Thursday night at 6:47 p.m. holding this chocolate ganache cake I spent 3 hours making after work, and I can hear Maxwell and his buddies absolutely losing it in the living room, like howling drunk laughter. I'd left my office early, picked up our daughter Nora from daycare, dropped her at my parents' house, grabbed all the party supplies from Target, and busted my ass to get home before he did to set up his surprise 30th birthday party. Except he beat me home. And I walk in to find 5 grown men sprawled across my sectional with beer cans everywhere, watching something on our TV that has them cackling like hyenas. Our wedding video. They're watching our wedding video from 3 years ago. I'm frozen in the doorway with this cake, and Anthony points at the screen going, look, here it comes. And Maxwell goes, oh man, watch this. And I see myself on screen in my wedding dress talking to my aunt by the dessert table. The camera pans and there's Maxwell near the bar with Lisa. My best friend since high school, Lisa. My maid of honor, Lisa. And even in the video, you can see him lean in and kiss her. Like actually kiss her. Not a peck. His hand is on her waist and everything. I never saw this happen at my own wedding because I was busy with 200 other guests, but there it is on video, clear as day. And Maxwell goes to his friends, remember when I kissed Lisa during the reception? She could not resist me that night. And his friend Simon is dying laughing going, your wife never suspected a thing, she was too busy with guests. And Maxwell just shrugs and says she's so naive. I'm still standing there, cake in my hands, decorations in my car. My phone is in my back pocket and I pull it out so carefully and start recording because what the actual hell is happening right now? Then Maxwell takes another sip of his beer and says, been secretly meeting her for 2 years now. His boys are high-fiving him. Anthony goes 2 years, man, that's impressive. And Maxwell goes, honestly, I only stay because her dad pays our mortgage and she does everything around the house like a maid anyway, so why would I leave? They all clinked their beers together. Clinked them. Like it was something to celebrate. I recorded a solid 2 minutes of this before my hand started shaking too much. They were ranking Lisa versus me, discussing how Lisa is more fun and doesn't nag about cleaning the garage or spending money, how I'm basically a live-in house manager who happens to share his bed sometimes. Maxwell said those exact words. Live-in house manager. I backed out of the hallway so quietly, put the cake on the kitchen counter, walked outside, sat in my car in my own driveway for like 20 minutes just breathing, because I needed to not go back in there and commit a felony. My dad has been paying our mortgage for 2 years since Maxwell's startup failed and he couldn't find work for 8 months. My dad who writes the check every single month because Maxwell promised he was getting back on his feet and just needed time. My dad who thinks Maxwell is a good husband because Maxwell plays the part so well at family dinners. I've been working full-time, doing everything at home, taking care of Nora who just turned 4, meal planning, all the invisible labor, and apparently also being the punchline of jokes with his disgusting friends while he sleep with my best friend. 2 years. 2 years he's been meeting up with Lisa. I did the math sitting in that car. That means it started when I was pregnant. When I had hyperemesis gravidarum and couldn't keep food down for months, and Maxwell would say he was going to the gym or meeting his buddy Francis for drinks. When I was so sick, I couldn't get off the couch and he'd come home at 10 p.m. smelling like perfume, and I actually believed him when he said Francis's girlfriend wore too much perfume, and it got on him when she hugged him goodbye. I called my sister Alicia from the car. Didn't even say hello, just started ranting, and she goes, what? And I'm like, yeah, so I just found out Maxwell has been cheating with Lisa for 2 years by walking in on him watching our wedding video with his friends and bragging about it. Alicia goes, I'm coming over right now, and I'm like, no, because he doesn't know I know yet, and I need to figure this out. She convinced me to send her the video recording first. Smart. I sent it to her phone and then texted it to myself from 3 different numbers just to be absolutely sure I had backups everywhere. Then I went back inside. They were still watching the wedding video. Now they were on the part where Maxwell and I are doing our first dance, and Simon goes, dude, you're literally dancing with your wife while thinking about her best friend, and Maxwell goes, makes it hotter, honestly. I walked right past the living room into our bedroom, closed the door, opened his side of the closet, started pulling clothes off hangers and shoving them into garbage bags, the big black hefty ones, grabbed his shoes, his workout stuff, all his stupid graphic tees he thinks are vintage but just make him look like he shops at a middle school. I could still hear them laughing out there. Filled 4 garbage bags before I heard footsteps, and Maxwell opened the bedroom door, going, babe, when did you get home, and saw me standing there with trash bags full of his stuff. He goes, what are you doing? And I just stared at him. He's holding a beer. There's a pizza stain on his shirt. This is the man I married. The man I've been supporting financially and emotionally while he screws around with my best friend and makes fun of me to his boys. I said I came home to surprise you for your birthday. Had your favorite cake and decorations in my car. Instead, I got to hear you tell your friends how you've been meeting Lisa behind my back for 2 years and only stay with me because my dad pays your bills. His face went white, like vampire white. He actually stumbled back a step and goes, babe, wait, I can explain that wasn't, and I'm like, do not call me babe ever again, I have the whole thing on video. That's when he switched tactics. Started saying it was just guy talk, locker room stuff. He was exaggerating to sound cool in front of his friends. I said, so you weren't kissing Lisa at our wedding reception. He goes, that was nothing, just a drunk mistake 3 years ago, that's it. So I pulled out my phone and played the video back. Him saying he's been meeting her for 2 years, him saying I'm naive, him saying my dad pays our mortgage like it's a punchline. He tried to grab my phone and I yanked it back so hard I almost dropped it. Told him if he touched me or my phone, I would call the cops right now and have him removed. He backed off but started going into this whole speech about how marriage is hard and he made mistakes, but we can work through this. What about Nora? What about our family? He loves me and we can fix this. I asked him point blank how many times he's been with Lisa in the past 2 years. He wouldn't answer, just kept saying it doesn't matter and we should focus on moving forward. I asked where they meet up. He said that's not important. I asked if it was happening in our house when I was at work and he goes, no, never here. I would never disrespect you like that. Like that's where he draws the line on disrespect. His friends were still in the living room. I could hear them being suspiciously quiet now, which means they definitely heard us fighting. Maxwell kept trying to touch my arm and I kept stepping away and finally he goes, can we at least talk about this privately without everyone here? And I said, your friends can leave, but you're not staying in this house tonight. He actually laughed, said this is my house too and I can't just kick him out. I reminded him, my dad pays the mortgage, which means my dad is on the lease, and I'm calling him right now to let him know his son-in-law has been committing fraud by accepting mortgage money under false pretenses while cheating on his daughter. That shut him up real fast. I walked past him back to the living room where Anthony and Simon and the other guys were suddenly very interested in their phones. Told them all to get out of my house. They scattered like roaches. Just grabbed their stuff and ran. Anthony tried to say something to Maxwell on his way out, and I snapped at him to save it. Once they were gone, Maxwell started up again with the whole, we need to talk about this rationally speech, and I cut him off. Said he has 2 options. Option 1 is he packs a bag and leaves tonight and we handle this through lawyers. Option 2 is I call my dad right now, call Lisa's fiancé Beau right now. Because yeah, she's engaged to someone else, and I post the video on Facebook tagging every single person we know. His eyes got so big when I mentioned Beau. He goes, you can't do that, and I'm like, watch me. I had my phone out already pulling up Facebook. That's when he switched to begging, full on begging, saying he'll do anything, he'll cut off Lisa completely, he'll go to counseling, he'll prove he can change. He got down on his knees in our living room and grabbed my hands and I ripped them away so hard. Told him I want him out of this house in 1 hour. Pack whatever he needs for the next few days because he's not coming back. He can stay with Anthony or Simon or literally anyone else, but not here. Not around me and definitely not around Nora. He kept trying to negotiate, saying he has nowhere to go, asking if he can at least sleep on the couch, promising he won't bother me. I said an hour and walked back to the bedroom to keep packing his stuff. He followed me, stood in the doorway going, please just let me explain everything, and I whipped around and screamed at him that there is no explanation that makes this okay, that I don't care why he did it or how it started or what his excuse is, that he spent 2 years lying to my face, sleeping next to me at night, playing happy family with our daughter, eating meals I cooked, living in a house my father pays for, all while screwing around with my best friend who I trusted. He tried to say Lisa seduced him, that she came on to him and he was weak. I literally laughed in his face, told him he's a grown man who made choices and he can own those choices like an adult instead of blaming everyone else. Then my phone rang. Maxwell's mom, Juliana. I let it go to voicemail. She called again immediately. I answered and she goes, Maxwell just called me very upset saying you're kicking him out over a misunderstanding and you won't listen to reason. I said there's no misunderstanding, Juliana. Your son has been cheating on me for 2 years with my best friend, and I have video evidence of him bragging about it to his friends. She got quiet. Then she goes, all men have their moments, dear. Don't throw away your marriage over boy talk. I hung up on her. Just ended the call. She texted me 3 times after that and I blocked her number. Maxwell was still standing there and goes, see, even my mom thinks you're overreacting and I lost it. Told him his mother raised a man who thinks cheating is boy talk and lying is acceptable and using his wife's family for money while disrespecting her is totally fine. That his mother is the last person who gets an opinion on our marriage. I gave him the garbage bags I'd already packed and told him to get the rest himself. He took them to his car while I sat on the bed just breathing again because the adrenaline was making me shake. When he came back in for more stuff, I asked him if our entire marriage was a lie. If he ever actually loved me or if I was just convenient. He swore he loves me and this thing with Lisa just happened and spiraled out of control. I asked when was the last time he saw her. He wouldn't answer. I said if it was recent, he better tell me now, and he finally admitted they met up for lunch on Tuesday, 2 days ago. He saw Lisa for lunch while I was at work, and then came home and ate the dinner I made and played with Nora before bed and didn't say a word. I told him I want a divorce. He started crying. Actual tears running down his face saying, please don't do this. Think about Nora, we can fix this. I said Nora deserves a mother who respects herself enough not to stay with a cheating liar and a father who knows actions have consequences. He packed 3 more bags. I followed him around the house to make sure he wasn't taking anything that wasn't his. He tried to grab the iPad and I said, that's Nora's for her games and he can't have it. He argued and I said, take it up with your lawyer. Right before he left, he turned around in the doorway and said, you're making a huge mistake. You'll regret this. We're good together. And I'm like, we were never good together. I was just too busy managing everything to notice you were a lying cheat. He tried one more time to hug me. I stepped back. He finally left. I locked the door behind him. All the locks, the deadbolt and the chain. Then I went around and locked every window. Checked twice. Then I sat on the floor in my kitchen and just sat there staring at that stupid chocolate cake I made for his birthday. 3 hours of baking and decorating with those little fondant toppers he likes. I grabbed a fork and ate cake straight from the platter on my kitchen floor at 9:30 p.m. on a Thursday night. My phone has been blowing up. Maxwell calling and texting. His mom texting. His brother Anthony texting saying I'm being too harsh. My sister calling to check on me. My dad calling after Alicia told him what happened. I haven't called Beau yet. Lisa's fiancé. I know I should. I know he deserves to know. But I also can't deal with one more thing tonight. I finally texted Alicia and told her to pick Nora up from our parents tomorrow morning and take her to preschool like normal. I don't want Nora seeing me like this. My parents can keep her through the weekend while I figure out next steps. Shout out to whoever reading this thinking, why didn't you just throw the cake at him? Honestly, same, but that cake was too pretty to waste on his face. I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know if I handled this right. All I know is I'm sitting here at almost midnight on what was supposed to be his birthday party. And instead, I'm Googling divorce lawyers and eating cake alone and trying to figure out how the hell I tell my 4-year-old daughter that daddy isn't going to live here anymore. Update 1 coming because Maxwell showed up at 7 a.m. and it got so much worse. First update. I barely slept Thursday night. Kept checking my phone every 20 minutes because Maxwell was texting me nonstop. Stuff like, we need to talk, please don't do this, and I love you, and this is fixable. And then around 2 a.m. he switched to, I deserve a chance to explain myself properly. I didn't respond to any of it. Just lay there in bed staring at the ceiling in my house that my dad pays for, while this man who's been using me thinks he deserves anything. Around 6 a.m. I finally dozed off, and then at 7:15 a.m. I hear banging on my front door. Aggressive banging. I grabbed my phone and went to the living room, and there's Maxwell outside in the same clothes from yesterday, absolutely pounding on the door yelling, "Open up, we need to talk." My neighbor Lillian across the street was getting her newspaper and just staring. Another neighbor was walking his dog and stopped to watch. Maxwell sees me through the window and starts yelling louder about how I can't just shut him out and we're married and he has rights. I opened the door but kept the chain lock on and told him he needs to leave right now or I'm calling the police. He's like, I just want to talk like adults, and I'm like, adults don't cheat on their wives for 2 years and then show up screaming on their doorstep at 7 a.m. when the whole neighborhood can hear. He tried to shove his foot in the door gap. Shove his foot. I slammed it on his foot and he yelped and jumped back, and I'm yelling at him that he does not get to intimidate me, and if he doesn't leave in 60 seconds, I'm calling 911. Lillian across the street actually pulled out her phone at that point, like she was ready to call too, and Maxwell saw her and got back in his car, but rolled down the window yelling about how I'm being unreasonable and destroying our family. I went back inside shaking, not from fear, from rage. The audacity of this man to show up making a scene after everything he did. I called my dad, told him what happened. My dad, who is the calmest person alive, was fuming. He said he's coming over right now and we're changing the locks today and Maxwell is not getting a key. Then he said he's also calling the mortgage company to make sure Maxwell's name gets taken off everything since he's been paying it. My dad showed up an hour later with my mom and Alicia. My mom brought breakfast sandwiches from this deli we love. And I actually started crying when I saw her because I'd been holding it together all morning, but seeing my mom just broke me. We sat in my kitchen and I showed them the full video. My mom watched the whole thing with her hand over her mouth, and when it ended, she said that boy is not welcome in this family anymore. My dad was so mad his hands were shaking. He kept saying I trusted him, I helped him, I paid for his life while he disrespected my daughter. Alicia wanted to drive to wherever Maxwell was staying and slash his tires. My mom had to talk her down. Then my phone rang. Lisa. Lisa was calling me. Everyone went silent. I just stared at the screen and Alicia goes, "Do not answer that." And I'm like, "Oh, I'm answering," and I put it on speaker. Lisa goes, "Hey, I know this is awkward, but can we meet somewhere to talk?" And I said, "Talk about what exactly?" Lisa. She got all quiet and then goes, "Maxwell called me last night crying saying you kicked him out and I just want to explain my side." I laughed. Like actually laughed out loud. Told her there is no side that makes sleeping with your best friend's husband okay. She started with this whole speech about how it just happened and neither of them meant for it to go this far, and they tried to stop so many times, but there's real feelings involved. Real feelings. She said real feelings like that makes it better. I asked her how she could sit at my kitchen table every weekend for brunch and hold my daughter and ask me about my marriage while actively destroying it. She goes, "It's not that simple. And things between me and Beau haven't been great, and Maxwell understood me in a way Beau doesn't." My mom grabbed the phone from me at that point and went off. Told Lisa she's a disgrace and a terrible friend, and she better never contact me again or come near this family. Lisa tried to say something, and my mom hung up on her. We were all just sitting there stunned, and then Alicia goes, "So are we telling Beau?" And I'm like, "Yes, absolutely, he deserves to know." But here's the thing. I don't have Beau's number. Lisa and I were friends, but I only ever saw Beau at group things, and I don't follow him on social media because we're not close like that. Alicia found him on Instagram though, and his profile is public, so she sent him a DM from her account saying this is about Lisa and Maxwell. Please call me, it's urgent. He called her back in like 10 minutes. Alicia answered and explained who she was, and then passed the phone to me, and I had to tell this man I barely know that his fiancée has been cheating on him with my husband for 2 years. The silence on the other end was so long. Then he goes, "Are you sure?" And I said I have video of Maxwell bragging about it to his friends. He asked if I could send it to him. I did through Alicia's Instagram DM. Bo called back 5 minutes later and he was crying, like really crying. Said he and Lisa are supposed to get married in 4 months and he just put a down payment on their venue last week. He kept asking if I knew how long and where they'd meet up and all these details I don't have answers to. I told him I'm so sorry and I only just found out myself, and he goes, "This is not your fault. Thank you for telling me." Then he hung up. My mom made us all sit down and eat the breakfast sandwiches even though nobody was hungry. She's like, "You need food in your system because today is going to be a long day." And she was right. Around 11 a.m., the locksmith showed up and changed all the locks. While he was working, Maxwell's mom, Juliana, showed up. Just showed up at my house unannounced. My dad answered the door and told her she needs to leave, and she pushed past him into my entryway going, "I need to speak with my daughter-in-law." I came out of the kitchen and she's standing there with her purse clutched to her chest, looking all proper and concerned, and she goes, "Sweetheart, I know you're hurt, but you're not thinking clearly." She said Maxwell made a mistake, but he's a good man and a good father, and I need to forgive him for Nora's sake. I told her Maxwell spent 2 years lying to everyone, including his own daughter, while sleeping with my best friend and using my father's money. That's not a mistake. That's a choice he made over and over again. She goes, "Marriage is about forgiveness and working through hard times. Every couple has rough patches." I asked her if she'd stay with her husband if he cheated on her for 2 years, and she got all huffy saying that's different and not the point. My mom came out then and told Juliana she needs to leave my house immediately. They actually got into it right there in my entryway. Juliana saying my mom raised me to give up too easily on my marriage, and my mom saying she raised me to have self-respect and not tolerate being treated like garbage. The locksmith was just standing there with his drill looking uncomfortable as hell. My dad finally got between them and physically escorted Juliana to the door. She turned around and said, "You're going to regret this when Nora grows up without her father," and I lost it. Screamed at her that Maxwell can be a father to Nora without living here and lying to me, and that maybe if she'd raised him better, he'd know how to be a decent human being. She left. My dad locked the new lock behind her. I spent the rest of Friday morning calling divorce lawyers. Found one who can meet with me Monday morning. My dad's paying for it because I cannot afford a divorce lawyer on my salary right now, and Maxwell sure as hell isn't going to pay for his own divorce. Around 2 p.m. I had to go pick up Nora from my parents' house where Alicia had dropped her after preschool. I was dreading it because how do you tell your 4-year-old that everything is changing? But Nora was in a good mood playing with her toys, and she asked where Daddy was, and I just said Daddy is staying somewhere else for a little while. She asked why, and I said Mommy and Daddy need some space right now, but we both love her so much. She seemed okay with that and went back to playing. Kids are resilient, but also I know this is going to get harder. Brought her home and made her favorite pasta for dinner, and we watched Encanto for the millionth time. She fell asleep on the couch next to me, and I just sat there looking at her little face thinking about how I'm doing this for her too. So she grows up seeing that her mom doesn't accept being treated badly. So she learns what she should and shouldn't tolerate in relationships. My phone would not stop. Maxwell texting asking to see Nora. His mom texting saying I'm being cruel. Anthony texting saying Maxwell is really struggling and maybe I should hear him out. I responded to exactly one text, and it was to Anthony. Told him his friend Maxwell bragged to him and everyone else about cheating on me so he can deal with the consequences, and if Anthony has a problem with that, he can go struggle right alongside him. Then Saturday morning, I wake up to 17 text messages from Maxwell. Walls of text about how sorry he is and how he'll do anything, and how I'm the love of his life and Lisa meant nothing compared to me. I finally responded. Told him he can communicate through my lawyer from now on, and any contact needs to be about Nora only. He immediately called me and I didn't answer. He called 6 more times. I blocked his number. He started calling from different numbers. Random numbers I didn't recognize. I'd answer thinking it was the lawyer's office or something important, and it would be Maxwell begging me to talk to him. I blocked 4 different numbers on Saturday alone. Then Saturday evening, Alicia texted me a screenshot. Lisa posted on Facebook. A long post about how she's going through a difficult time and asking for privacy, and saying that people make mistakes and real friends stand by you through everything. The comments, though? People were confused asking what happened, and a few mutual friends were commenting supportive things. Then Bo commented. Just one line. He said, "Lisa, you don't get to play victim when you're the one who destroyed our relationship and multiple families." It went off after that. People demanding to know what was going on. Someone commented asking if Lisa cheated, and Bo replied yes with her best friend's husband, while her best friend was pregnant and taking care of their new. I did not ask him to do that. I wasn't even on Facebook at that point because I'd logged out to avoid seeing anything, but Alicia sent me screenshots and apparently everyone we know saw it, and people started commenting on Maxwell's Facebook too, asking if it was true. Maxwell deleted his Facebook entirely by Saturday night. Lisa made hers private. Shout out to the commenter on my original post who said the trash was taking itself out because accurate. My phone started ringing with numbers I didn't know, and when I finally answered one, it was my aunt asking if the Facebook stuff was true. I told her yes, and she said the whole family is horrified and completely supports me. Then my cousin called, then another aunt, then my dad's brother. Everyone calling to check on me and tell me they're team me, which is nice but also exhausting because I had to explain the situation 17 times. Sunday morning, Maxwell showed up at my house again, this time at 9 a.m., rang the doorbell over and over. I looked through the peephole and he's standing there holding flowers, like a bouquet of roses. I did not open the door. He started yelling through the door about how he knows I'm in there and we need to talk face to face. Nora was still asleep, thank God, so she didn't hear this. I texted him from my laptop using iMessage since I'd blocked his number on my phone and told him he needs to leave immediately or I'm calling the cops for harassment. He texted back saying, "Harassment, really, babe? I'm your husband, trying to save our marriage." I called my dad. He drove over and confronted Maxwell in the driveway. I watched from the window as my dad got in Maxwell's face and said, "If he shows up at this house one more time without permission, he'll file for a restraining order himself." Maxwell tried to argue, and my dad said he's not discussing it, and Maxwell better be grateful he's not getting his ass beat for what he did to his daughter. Maxwell left the flowers on my doorstep and drove away. I threw the flowers in the garbage can, didn't even bring them inside. Alicia came over Sunday afternoon and we meal prepped for the week while Nora played in the backyard. Alicia kept asking if I was doing okay, and honestly, I don't know. Like, on one hand, I'm so angry and hurt and betrayed. On the other hand, I have to function and take care of Nora and go to work tomorrow and act normal. She told me I should take some time off work, but I can't afford to. I need my job. I need my paycheck. I need stability for Nora. Sunday night, I finally sat down and made a list of everything I need to handle. Divorce lawyer Monday, figure out custody arrangement, talk to HR about updating my emergency contacts and beneficiaries, cancel the joint credit card, separate bank accounts. Tell Nora's preschool that Maxwell is not allowed to pick her up without my permission. The list is so long and overwhelming, and I just wanted to cry looking at it, but also I'm done crying over Maxwell. Then Sunday night, around 10 p.m. after I got Nora to bed, I got a text from a number I didn't know. It said, "This is Bo, can we talk?" And honestly, I don't even know what there is to talk about, but I said okay, and he asked if he could call me, and I said yes. Update 2 coming, because that phone call with Bo revealed something I definitely was not expecting, and now there's a whole new mess to deal with. Second update, so that phone call with Bo on Sunday night absolutely wrecked me, and I'm still trying to process everything. He called around 10:30 p.m. and started off apologizing for reaching out so late, but he couldn't stop thinking about everything and needed to talk to someone who understands what this feels like. I told him I get it and asked how he was holding up. He said he confronted Lisa on Friday night after I sent him the video. She denied it at first. Said Maxwell was lying and exaggerating to impress his friends. But Bo kept pushing, and she finally broke down and admitted they'd been seeing each other, but insisted it wasn't serious, and only happened a few times. I asked him if he believed that, and he goes, no, because then he went through her phone. Lisa had apparently left it on their kitchen counter when she went to take a shower, and he just picked it up and went through everything. Her passcode is his birthday, so it wasn't even hard. He found months of messages between her and Maxwell on Instagram DMs. They have a whole thread going back almost 2 years like I suspected. But here's the thing that made me want to throw up. They weren't just meeting up for hookups. They were talking about being together for real. About leaving us and starting over together. Bo read me some of the messages and I had to put him on speaker because my hands were shaking. Maxwell telling Lisa he thinks about her constantly and wishes he could wake up next to her every morning. Lisa saying she feels more herself with Maxwell than she ever has with Bo. Them discussing how they'd handle custody of Nora and what their life would look like together. They were planning a future. While I was making Maxwell's breakfast and doing his laundry and raising our daughter, and he was texting another woman about leaving me. Bo said there were messages from when I was pregnant with Nora. Lisa telling Maxwell she was jealous watching him play Happy Family. Maxwell saying he wished it was Lisa he was having a baby with instead. My vision literally went blurry when Bo told me that. Then Bo said something that made everything so much worse. He asked me if I knew about the Instagram account Maxwell made under a fake name just to message Lisa without anyone seeing. I had no idea what he was talking about, and Bo sent me screenshots through Instagram DM. Maxwell made a whole fake account with a random guy's photos as the profile picture and a generic name like James Peterson or something. That's how they communicated most of the time, so if anyone saw their phones, it wouldn't look suspicious. Bo only found it because Lisa had it saved in her close friends list or something technical I don't fully understand. I spent an hour on the phone with Bo just going through everything. He told me Lisa had been lying to him for months about where she was going, saying she had work events or girls' nights when really she was meeting Maxwell. They'd go to this hotel about 30 minutes outside town. The same hotel every time. Room 347 apparently because they mentioned it in multiple messages like it was their special place. I wanted to scream. This wasn't just cheating. This was a whole secret relationship with plans and routines and their own little world that existed alongside our real lives. Bo asked me if I knew when it started exactly, and I said Maxwell told me 2 years, but I don't know beyond that. Bo pulled up the earliest Instagram DM he could find, and it was from March 2023, right after Nora turned 2. Right when Maxwell's job was failing and he was spiraling about money and I was working overtime to keep us afloat. I asked Bo what he's going to do and he said he already ended things with Lisa. told her to move out of their apartment. She's been staying with her parents since Friday night and has been blowing up his phone trying to explain herself, but he's done listening. Then he asked me something that caught me off guard. He asked if Maxwell is the type of guy who'd try to manipulate his way back in. And I said, absolutely yes, he's already shown up at my house twice and called from 6 different numbers. Bo goes, yeah, Lisa said Maxwell told her he's not giving up and he knows he can convince me to take him back because I always forgive him eventually. Excuse me. Maxwell told Lisa I always forgive him. Like this is a pattern. Like he's done stuff before and I've let it slide. I asked Bo if Lisa said anything else about that and he said not really, but it was clear from their messages that Maxwell thought I was manageable. That's the word they used. Manageable. As in easy to control and manipulate. We talked for almost 2 hours total. By the end, we were both just exhausted and angry, and Bo said he's glad we connected because at least we're not going through this alone. I told him I'm here if he needs to talk again, and he said same. After we hung up, I couldn't sleep. Just lay in bed staring at the ceiling, thinking about every time Maxwell said he was going somewhere, and I believed him. Every late night at the office. Every gym session that ran long. Every weekend, he said he was helping Anthony move or meeting Simon for a basketball game. How many of those were lies? How many times did he come home and kiss me and play with Nora after spending the afternoon with Lisa in room 347 of some random hotel? Monday morning, I had to get Nora ready for preschool and myself ready for work while functioning on like 3 hours of sleep. Dropped Nora off and went straight to the lawyer's office for my 9 a.m. appointment. The lawyer's name is Franca, and she's apparently one of the best divorce attorneys in the area, according to my dad's research. Her office is in this building downtown, and I sat in the waiting room filling out intake forms, trying not to cry while checking boxes about assets and debts and reasons for divorce. Franca called me back at 9:15, and we sat in her office for over an hour going through everything. I showed her the video of Maxwell and his friends, told her about the Instagram messages Bo found, explained the mortgage situation with my dad paying. She took notes on everything and said this is actually a pretty straightforward case since we have clear evidence of infidelity, and the financial situation favors me. She asked about Nora and what kind of custody arrangement I want, and I told her I want primary physical custody with Maxwell getting supervised visitation until I feel confident he's stable. Franca said that's reasonable given the circumstances and asked if I think Maxwell will fight for custody. I said honestly, I don't know what Maxwell will do at this point because the man I thought I knew doesn't exist. She outlined next steps. File for divorce this week. Serve Maxwell the papers. Start discovery process. Work out temporary custody and support arrangements. She estimated this could take anywhere from 6 months to a year depending on how cooperative Maxwell is. I left her office feeling weird. Like this is really happening. I'm getting divorced. My marriage is over. Nora is going to grow up in a split household. Went to work after that and tried to focus, but my coworker Annabelle kept asking if I was okay, because apparently I looked terrible. I finally told her during lunch that I'm going through a divorce, and she was so shocked because Maxwell and I always seemed happy at company events. That's the thing nobody tells you. You can seem happy from the outside while everything is rotting from the inside. I made it through the workday somehow and picked up Nora from preschool, and we stopped at the grocery store because I needed to get food for the week. We're walking through the produce section and I look up and Lisa is there. Just standing by the apples like it's a normal Monday afternoon. She saw me at the exact same time. We both froze. Nora was sitting in the cart playing with her stuffed bunny, completely oblivious to the tension. Lisa opened her mouth like she was going to say something, and I just turned my cart around and walked the other direction. She followed me. Actually followed me through the grocery store, going, "Wait, please, I just want to talk for 5 minutes." I kept walking, got to the cereal aisle, and she caught up and stepped in front of my cart and said, "Please, I know you hate me, but I need you to understand it wasn't supposed to happen like this." Nora looked up at Lisa and goes, "Hi, Aunt Lisa. Why is Mommy mad?" And my heart broke because my daughter still thinks this woman is safe. I told Nora to close her eyes and play with Bunny for a minute, and then looked at Lisa and said, "You need to leave me alone right now." She goes, "I'm sorry, okay, I'm so sorry. But Maxwell and I, we fell in love and neither of us planned it, and it's been torture watching you not know." I asked her if it was torture enough to stop, and she went quiet. I said, "Exactly. It was torture you chose to keep inflicting on everyone. You could have told me. You could have ended your relationship with Bo. You could have done anything besides continue lying for 2 years. She started crying right there in the cereal aisle, saying she knows she messed up and she hates herself and she lost everything. I told her she should hate herself and she didn't lose everything, she threw it away. Then she said something that made me want to slap her. She said Maxwell really does love me and he's devastated right now, and maybe I should consider giving him another chance because everyone makes mistakes. I laughed, asked her if she's seriously standing here defending the man who destroyed both our lives while crying about losing him. She said it's complicated and I wouldn't understand the connection they have. I told her I understand perfectly. 2 selfish people found each other and decided their wants were more important than everyone else's feelings. That's not a connection. That's just mutual selfishness. Some other woman shopping turned the corner into our aisle and immediately backed away when she saw us clearly having it out. Lisa wiped her eyes and said she hopes someday I can forgive her because she misses her best friend. I told her we stopped being best friends the second she kissed my husband at my wedding, and she lost any right to my friendship when she kept lying to my face for years after that. Then I pushed my cart past her and finished shopping while she just stood there crying. Got home, and Nora asked why Aunt Lisa was sad, and I had to explain that sometimes grown-ups have arguments, and Aunt Lisa did something that hurt Mommy's feelings, so we're not going to see her anymore. Nora seemed okay with that answer, but I know she's going to ask more questions eventually. Tuesday, I went back to work and everything felt surreal. Like I'm just going through motions, answering emails, filing paperwork, talking to clients. Meanwhile, my entire life is imploding. Maxwell texted me from another new number Tuesday afternoon. Said we need to discuss custody of Nora, and can we please meet somewhere neutral to talk? I responded and told him to have his lawyer contact mine. He said he doesn't have a lawyer yet and can't afford one, and I said that sounds like a him problem. He called immediately from that number and I answered, and he launched into this speech about how I'm being vindictive and using Nora as a weapon and he has rights as her father. I told him he should have thought about his rights before he cheated. He said I'm not being fair and I'm punishing him too harshly. Too harshly. Like there's an appropriate punishment level for 2 years of infidelity that I'm somehow exceeding. I asked him point blank if he and Lisa were planning to leave us and be together. He got quiet and then said, "Where did you hear that?" And I told him Bo went through Lisa's phone and found everything. All the Instagram messages, all their plans, all their discussions about leaving us. Maxwell tried to say those conversations weren't serious and they were just venting or fantasizing. I asked him if he really thinks I'm stupid enough to believe that. He said I'm twisting everything to make him look worse than he is. I told him he made himself look bad by cheating on his wife for 2 years and planning a whole secret future with her best friend. He said I don't understand how hard things were for him when his business failed, and I wasn't being emotionally supportive enough. So now it's my fault he cheated because I wasn't supportive enough while I was working full-time and raising our daughter and managing an entire household, plus dealing with his depression spiral. I told him that's the weakest excuse I've ever heard and he's gonna have to do a lot better than that when we're in court. He goes, "We don't need to go to court, we can figure this out ourselves." And I said, "No, we really can't, because I don't trust a single word that comes out of his mouth." He started yelling about how I'm being impossible and I hung up. Blocked that number too. He's now blocked on 5 different phone numbers, and I'm sure he'll find a 6th. Wednesday morning, my dad called and said the mortgage company confirmed Maxwell's name was removed from everything, and my dad is now the sole payer, and if Maxwell tries to claim any ownership, he'll have legal proof he never contributed. That was satisfying, at least. Wednesday night, Nora asked when Daddy is coming home, and I had to sit her down and explain that Daddy is going to live somewhere else from now on, but she'll still get to see him. She asked if it's because of her, and I nearly broke down right there. Told her, "No, baby, it has nothing to do with you. Sometimes grown-up relationships change, but Mommy and Daddy both love you so much." She seemed to accept that, but then asked if Daddy left because I was mean to him, and I wanted to scream because obviously Maxwell said something to her. I told her, "No, sweetie, Mommy wasn't mean. Daddy made some choices that hurt Mommy, and we're going to live separately now, but it's not your fault at all." She cried a little, and I held her and we watched Bluey until she fell asleep on my lap. Thursday morning, Franca called and said the divorce papers are ready to be filed and served. Asked if I knew where Maxwell was staying, and I said probably with Anthony, but I'm not sure. She said she'd hire a process server to track him down. Thursday afternoon, I got a call from Nora's preschool. The director saying Maxwell showed up trying to check Nora out early, and they wouldn't release her to him because I'd updated the pickup list on Monday to require my written permission. Maxwell apparently caused a scene arguing with them until they threatened to call the police and he left. I called Maxwell immediately on FaceTime using Nora's iPad since he's not blocked there. He answered and I went off. Told him he does not get to show up at Nora's school causing problems and scaring the staff. He said he has a right to see his daughter and I'm keeping her from him. I told him he can see Nora when we have a legal custody arrangement through the court, and until then he needs to back off. He said I'm being unreasonable and vindictive and trying to turn Nora against him. I said the only person turning Nora against anyone is him by showing up at her school and getting escorted out. He tried to argue more and I ended the call. Then Friday happened and everything got so much worse because Maxwell showed up at my work. Update 3 coming, because when he showed up at my office with his mom, it turned into the biggest scene and security had to get involved, and now there's even more drama with his whole family losing it. Last update. Okay, so Friday afternoon, I'm at my desk doing billing for a client case, and my coworker Annabelle comes speed walking over, looking panicked, going, "There's a man in the lobby demanding to see you, and he has an older woman with him, and they won't leave." I knew immediately it was Maxwell. Just knew it in my gut. I told Annabelle to call building security, and I'd handle it, and she goes, "Are you sure?" And I'm like, "Absolutely not, but I'm doing it anyway." Walked out to the lobby, and there's Maxwell standing there in khakis and a button-down, like he's here for a job interview, and Juliana next to him in a full pantsuit looking like she's about to present a legal case. Our receptionist looked so uncomfortable. Maxwell sees me and goes, "Thank God we need to talk right now," and I told him he needs to leave my workplace immediately. Juliana steps forward and says, "Now, dear, we're not leaving until you hear us out because this has gone on long enough and you're being unreasonable." I looked at the receptionist and told her to call security. Maxwell goes, "That's not necessary, we just want 5 minutes," and I said, "You don't get 5 minutes, you don't get anything. You're harassing me at my job." Juliana pulls out her phone and starts showing me something. It's a voice memo. She hits play and it's Maxwell crying, like full sobbing, saying he can't live without me and Nora and he's falling apart and his mom is worried he's going to hurt himself. I stared at her and asked if she seriously just played me a recording of her adult son crying to manipulate me into taking him back. She goes, "It's not manipulation, it's showing you how much pain he's in because of your actions." My actions. I laughed so hard the receptionist jumped. Told Juliana that Maxwell is in pain because of his own actions and choices and consequences, and if he's struggling, maybe he should talk to a therapist instead of showing up at his wife's workplace with his mommy. Maxwell tried to grab my hand and I yanked it back. He goes, "Please, just come outside and talk to me for 10 minutes, that's all I'm asking." I asked him what part of "I have nothing to say to you" does he not understand? He said we have a daughter together, and we need to figure this out like adults. I told him we are figuring it out through lawyers and the court system like adults do when they can't trust each other. He goes, "You're really gonna throw away 3 years of marriage without even trying?" And I said, "You threw it away when you stuck your tongue down my best friend's throat at our wedding reception and then kept screwing her for 2 years. Said that loud. The receptionist's eyes got so wide. Annabelle was watching from the hallway with her phone out, probably ready to record if things escalated. Juliana goes, "There's no need for that kind of language," and I told her there's no need for her to be here at all since this is between me and Maxwell. She said as Maxwell's mother, she has every right to defend her son when he's being treated unfairly. Security showed up then. 2 guys in uniforms asking if there's a problem, and I said yes, these people need to leave the building, they're harassing me. Maxwell tried to argue with security saying he's my husband and he's allowed to talk to me, and security said, "Not on private property when she's asking you to leave." Juliana started going off about how this is ridiculous and she's never seen someone act so cold toward their own husband. Maxwell is trying to talk over her to security, explaining that we're going through a rough patch, but we're working it out. I told security, we are not working it out. I have a restraining order pending and these people are violating my space. That was a lie, I don't actually have a restraining order yet, but it got security to take it seriously. They told Maxwell and Juliana they have to leave now, or they'll call the police. Maxwell looked at me with these pathetic puppy dog eyes and said, "I love you, please don't do this." I said if he loved me, he wouldn't have cheated on me for 2 years and humiliated me in front of his friends and used my family's money while planning a future with someone else. Juliana goes, "He made a mistake," and I said a mistake is forgetting to buy milk. A mistake is not a 2-year affair with coordinated Instagram accounts and hotel rooms. Security literally had to escort them out. Maxwell was still trying to talk to me over his shoulder while being walked to the exit. Juliana was threatening to call someone I don't even know who. My boss came out of his office after they left and asked if I was okay and if I needed to take the rest of the day off. I told him I'm fine and I'm sorry for the disruption, and he said it's not my fault. And if those people show up again, I should call the police immediately, not wait for security. Sat back down at my desk shaking. Not from fear, from rage. The absolute audacity of Maxwell to show up at my workplace with his mother like they're staging an intervention. Like I'm the problem that needs to be fixed. Got through the rest of the workday somehow. Picked up Nora from my parents' house where she'd been staying after preschool and drove home. Checked my phone at a red light and had 23 text messages. Maxwell from 2 different new numbers. Juliana, Anthony, Maxwell's aunt who I've met like twice. All of them saying I embarrassed Maxwell today and I'm being cruel and I need to think about Nora and give Maxwell a real chance to explain. I responded to exactly one message, and it was to Anthony. Told him if he or anyone from Maxwell's family contacts me again, I'm filing harassment charges against all of them. Then I blocked everyone. Saturday morning, Franca called. The divorce papers were served Friday afternoon at Anthony's apartment where Maxwell has apparently been staying. Maxwell has 30 days to respond and then we move forward with proceedings. She asked about the workplace incident and I told her everything. She said that's actually helpful for our case, shows a pattern of harassment and disregard for boundaries. I asked Franca about custody, and she said based on everything Maxwell's behavior, the school incident, the workplace harassment, we have a strong case for primary physical custody with supervised visitation. She said we'd push for a parenting coordinator to oversee exchanges so I don't have to deal with Maxwell directly. That made me feel better. The thought of having to see Maxwell every week for custody swaps was making me sick. Saturday afternoon, my dad came over with my mom and Alicia, and we all sat in my backyard while Nora played on her swing set. My dad said he talked to his lawyer about the mortgage situation, and if Maxwell tries to claim any interest in the house, we have documentation proving he never paid a single dollar toward it. My mom asked how I'm really doing, and I told her honestly, I'm angry and hurt, but also relieved. Like I didn't realize how much stress I was carrying trying to manage Maxwell's moods and keep him happy while doing everything else. Now that he's gone, the house feels lighter even with all the chaos. Alicia said she's proud of me for not backing down, that a lot of women would have caved by now with all the pressure and showing up and family involvement. I told her I'm not caving because the second I do, Maxwell will know he can manipulate me forever, and I'm done being manageable. Sunday, Nora asked when she's going to see Daddy again, and I told her soon we're working out a schedule. She asked if Daddy did something bad, and I said Daddy made some choices that hurt Mommy, and we can't live together anymore. But Daddy still loves her very much. She accepted that and went back to playing with her dolls. Monday morning, Franca called with an update. Maxwell hired a lawyer finally. Some guy who apparently isn't great, but was cheap and willing to take payments. His lawyer already reached out asking if we'd be willing to do mediation instead of going to court, and Franca asked what I wanted to do. I thought about it and told her I want to go to court. I want a judge to see the evidence and make decisions because I don't trust Maxwell to honor any agreement we make privately. Franca said that's probably smart given everything. Tuesday evening, I was giving Nora a bath when my phone rang from a number I didn't recognize. Usually I don't answer those anymore, but something made me pick up and it was Beau. He asked if I had time to talk and I said, sure, give me a few minutes. Got Nora out of the bath and settled with a show and called him back. He said Lisa moved out of her parents' house and into an apartment downtown and she's been trying to contact him constantly. He's blocked her everywhere, but she keeps finding ways to reach out through mutual friends. I asked how he's holding up and he said some days are okay and some days he's so angry he can barely function. I told him I get that completely. He said the wedding venue won't refund their deposit because the cancellation was within 4 months and he's out $5,000 because Lisa couldn't keep her legs closed. We talked for almost an hour just venting about everything. At one point, Beau said, you know what's crazy is they probably still think they're going to end up together. That once the dust settles, we'll both move on and they can just start their relationship openly. I said over my dead body, will I ever be okay with Maxwell and Lisa being together? Beau said same, he'll never accept them as a couple. I told him Maxwell can do whatever he wants once we're divorced. But if he thinks I'm going to co-parent nicely with him and his mistress, he's delusional. Wednesday morning, I had to go into Nora's preschool for a parent conference about her behavior. Her teacher said Nora has been acting out lately, getting upset easily and refusing to share with other kids. I explained that we're going through a separation and things are chaotic at home, and the teacher was understanding but said we might want to consider some play therapy for Nora to process her feeling. Thursday, I got a call from Franca saying Maxwell's lawyer filed a motion for temporary custody pending the divorce. Maxwell is asking for 50-50 physical custody, and for me to pay him child support since I make more money. I laughed. Actually laughed on the phone with my lawyer. Asked her if he's serious and she said, unfortunately, yes. She said, we'll fight it. And with the documentation we have about his behavior, there's no way a judge grants that. But it shows Maxwell's mindset right now. He really thinks he can cheat on me for 2 years, humiliate me, use my family's money, harass me at work and at Nora's school, and then demand 50-50 custody and money from me. The delusion. Friday morning, 3 weeks after this nightmare started, I dropped Nora off at my parents' house and met Franca at the courthouse for our first hearing. It was just a temporary orders hearing to establish custody and support until the divorce is final. Maxwell was there with his lawyer looking miserable. We had to sit on opposite sides of the courtroom and he kept trying to make eye contact with me, and I just stared straight ahead. His mom was in the back row glaring at me the entire time. The judge reviewed both our motions and asked Maxwell's lawyer why his client thinks he deserves 50-50 custody when he has an unstable living situation, no fixed income, and a documented history of showing up at the child's school without permission. Maxwell's lawyer tried to argue that Maxwell is a devoted father who's being kept from his daughter by a vindictive spouse. Franca stood up and calmly presented the video evidence. The judge watched it right there in court with the sound on, and I watched Maxwell's face turn red as his own voice echoed through the courtroom talking about how he only stays for the mortgage and free housekeeping. The judge was not happy, asked Maxwell's lawyer if his client would like to explain himself, and Maxwell stood up and tried to say it was taken out of context, and he was drunk and exaggerating. The judge said drunk or not, those are serious statements that call into question his judgment and character. Then Franca presented evidence of Maxwell showing up at my workplace with his mother after being asked repeatedly to stop contact. The school incident. The multiple phone numbers after being blocked. The judge looked more annoyed with every piece of evidence. The judge ruled that I get primary physical custody immediately. Maxwell gets supervised visitation every other Saturday for 4 hours at a family visitation center with a court-appointed supervisor present. He has to complete a co-parenting class before that supervision can be lifted. He has to pay me child support based on his earning potential, not his current unemployment. And he's ordered to stay away from my home and workplace or face contempt charges. Maxwell looked like he'd been slapped. His lawyer tried to argue, and the judge shut him down, saying these are temporary orders, and if Maxwell can demonstrate stability and appropriate behavior, we'll revisit in 3 months. We left the courthouse, and Maxwell tried to approach me in the parking lot. I pulled out my phone and started recording and said loudly, "You are violating the judge's order from 5 minutes ago by approaching me right now." He backed off immediately, called my dad from the car and told him, and he started crying, happy tears. Said he's so proud of me and he's sorry Maxwell turned out to be such a disappointment, but he's glad I'm protecting myself and Nora. Picked up Nora that afternoon and we went to the park, just the two of us. Watched her play on the swings and thought about how different our lives are going to be now. It's going to be hard, single parenting while working full-time, dealing with Maxwell's supervised visits, eventually co-parenting if he gets his act together. But we're going to be okay. Better than okay. We're going to be free from his manipulation and lies and using us. I'm done being the woman who does everything and asks for nothing. Done being manageable. Done accepting crumbs and calling it love. To everyone who commented saying I deserve better, thank you. You were right. To everyone who said Maxwell will try to manipulate his way back in, you were also right, but at least I was ready for it. To the person who said the trash took itself out, literally the most accurate thing ever said. I'm 32 years old with a 4-year-old daughter and a divorce in progress, and you know what? I've never felt more powerful in my entire life. Because I chose me. I chose self-respect. I chose to protect my daughter from learning that it's okay to stay with someone who treats you like garbage. And that chocolate cake I made for his birthday? I ate the whole thing over the course of that first weekend, and it was delicious.